Mine is not working, this one's not working.
The Wi-Fi isn't working.
Yeah, it's not.
Which one are you trying to access?
I did,
The guest. You want the guest one?
yeah, that's what I did. I did something. Fuji, or your CNA, Fuji.
No, not for your CNA. We want guest.
Oh. Good
Good
morning.
morning. We'll get started in just a few minutes. Yeah, give me just a few minutes.
All right. Still won't do it. I'll send it to you later when I get home.
All right.
Oops, sorry.
No, see if I have a phone. Oh, no, I'm so sorry. I'll make it as quick as. Oh, it's okay. I'm so sorry. Good morning. Morning. For this status, you put information in, but it's showing.
Yeah. So this is.
Big one?
No. So I guess I'm gonna go and try it again today, but I don't know. Stuff. So I'm not.
Yeah, maybe you transpose a number or something and it just didn't take. So yeah, go in and when you log in, you should see your application, you should be able to click on it and then.
Okay, and I don't feel like it's hard.
But I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, I'll try it.
Does that have the ID number on top?
Yeah, training tools.
Yeah.
Right, make sure that you put that on the application, if you fill it out, then make sure.
Oh, yeah, at the top.
Right, when you filled out the initial one, you didn't have a biometric ID, now you do, so it's enough by that.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh, good. So she understand everything. She's the one that was doing everything for me.
Okay, so. If you have something. You need to kind of write up a letter, explaining your side of the story, gathering records. And if they may not, they may just, never review it and say, okay. If they want one for one, you want to have it all ready to send, because they'll give you more, more instructions. So yeah. Yeah, so you're kind of in a holding pattern right now. Can you send that to me? Yes, I'll send it. Next time, you want to text it or email? It's Larry RN@gmail.com. Thank you. All right, looks like we have success. Okay. All right, good morning. How is everybody this morning? You excited for graduation? You made it. It goes quickly. It does go quickly. Hey, we had about 1 million employers that wanted to come in and talk to you today. I did not let any of them in because if I let one in, I have to let all of them in because otherwise they feel like I'm playing favorites and it becomes a whole thing. So on my website, foryourcna.com, the one on your white book, you're keeping this book. This is yours. This website under after certification, there's a link for local jobs. If you click on that link, there's an entire page. I'm going to go over that in a minute. I'll show you a screenshot. There's an entire page of employers. If you click on any of the names of the employers, it takes you right over to their hiring page on their website. So I make it super easy for you to be able to apply for jobs. Okay. We also have a ton of jobs posted over there on the bulletin board in the black stand-up thing. And I have some more on that table. And then I have some more flyers that were just dropped off. Everybody is hiring. But you do have to search for jobs. And we're going to talk about that in just a few minutes, how to succeed in finding employment as a CNA, because it is a little bit different than other industries. So I kind of want to touch on that. But before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and get your scores for chapter 10, answer any questions that you have. And then we're going to talk about continuing education, how to keep your certification once you get it. Because it doesn't do you any good to take the test and to get certified if you lose it in a year.
And, you know, that's not going to do you any good because then you have to go through this whole process all over again. Once is enough. You only want to test once. So I need to make sure that you understand all of the requirements for renewal to make sure that you can keep up with it. Okay. So let me go ahead and get your scores for chapter 10. Sue. Thank you. Crystal. Cynthia. Thank you. Yvonne. Thank you. Wilma. Mark. Kari. Kari, do you have by any chance 7, 7, 8, and 9? Do you remember them? Oh, no, it's okay. That's all right. Leah. Thank you. Do you happen to have 7 and 8 for me as well? Thank you. Is Wilma here? Wilma? Yeah. Kari's here. Leah's here. Steven.
I got a 95 on chapter 10.
Okay. Do you have 8 and 9 for me as well?
Yeah, 90 on both.
Thank you very much. And Amber? Thank you. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Anything I can answer for you?
After I finish the registration, how long does it take for them to schedule me for the test?
So the timeline for the registration process is when you register for the test, it usually takes them about 2 to 3 days to process it. And then you get either a letter saying that everything's complete and it's being forwarded to the Board of Nursing or a deficiency letter. Once they get everything and they send it off to the Board of Nursing, it takes about 7 to 10 days to clear you for testing. When you're cleared for testing, they send a note to Prometric saying this person is okay to test. And you have to give them about 7 to 10 days to get that done because it's a non-automated process. So once you're cleared for testing, then Prometric will send you an email with your testing date. You'll be testing about a week after you get that notice. So yeah, so roughly from the time that you send your application and barring any unforeseen events, right? So from the time you send your application in until your testing is generally about 3 weeks. Generally. Okay. Lots of things can mess that up, but generally speaking, about 3 weeks.
I took my background check yesterday,
Okay.
so I can apply for that.
Sure. Yeah. 24 hours after you go for but you can actually do it right away, but it's usually best to wait 24 hours so that it gets routed to the right destination. And when your application goes in, they're able to automatically pull that. Okay. So good. All right. Any questions on the skills? Any questions on the theory? Any questions on the test? Any questions about life? I do not have the winning lottery numbers.
Darn. Certification, I mean, am I getting a paper today? Because I can't see.
Yes, I do have graduation folders that I'm going to be giving everybody in just a little bit, but we do have to go over continuing education first. So give me about 45 minutes and then you'll be free to go. If you can't stay, it's okay, no problem. But if you can't stay, then you can come by anytime and pick your folder up at the front desk. Okay. So that's complete. You're more than welcome to leave if you're not feeling well or can't stay. It's okay. All right, let me go ahead and show you this video really quickly. And we'll get this moving along today. So if you look on page 122 of your white book, all of the notes for the video I'm about to show you is going to be located on page 122 of your white book. So you don't have to take notes. Pay attention to this though, because it is super important as you move forward in your career. If you don't know how to renew or what the requirements are, you'll end up losing your certification and you have to start over from scratch. And that's no fun for anybody. So make sure you pay attention to this. It's also on my main website, foryourcna.com, under after certification. This video is always available to you to go back and review. Okay. So let me go ahead and play this for you. It only takes about 15 minutes. In the meantime, I'll work on your folders and get everything all set up. A lot of videos. How to renew your Florida CNA certification. A guide for Florida CNAs. Brought to you by foryourcna.com. After you pass your state exam, you will receive your certification card in the mail. This card gives you valuable information. Take a moment to look it over. Check your name and address to make sure they are correct. Make a note of your CNA certification number. You will need this for employment and in-service credit. Your certification also comes with a convenient wallet card. Sign this and keep it in your wallet for handy proof of certification. But one of the most important things you need to pay attention to is the expiration date. It will be located near the top of the blue card in the grid. In Florida, CNAs are divided into two groups, odd year group and even year group. Everyone in the even year group will renew their certifications in even years, such as 2018, 2020, 2022, and so on. Everyone in the odd year group will renew their certifications in odd years, such as 2017, 2019, etc. When you become certified, you will join one of these groups. But which group you end up in has nothing to do with when you test. You will be assigned a group when you receive your first certification, and you will remain in that group even if you allow your certification to lapse and you retest later in life. So how do you know when you will have to renew? It's easy. Check your expiration date. Every certification will expire on May 31st, either in an odd year or an even year. You need to know which group you are in. This is Jenny. Jenny became a CNA in 2017. She was placed into the even year group, so her expiration date will be in even years. She is joining a group already in progress, so her expiration date will be the same as theirs, regardless of when she became certified. Everyone in this group has the same expiration date. So, do I have to take the test again? No. As long as you meet all the requirements and renew on time, you will never have to take the state boards again.
In order to renew your CNA certification in Florida, you must meet 2 requirements and pay a small fee. You must work at least once as a CNA for pay in this renewal cycle. You must complete the required number of in-service hours and pay the renewal fee. We will look at each of these in more detail in the following section. In Florida, every CNA is required to perform nursing-related services for monetary compensation within the renewal period in order to renew their certification. That means they have to get paid to do CNA skills. This rule is in effect to ensure that CNAs are using their skills so that they do not forget what they have learned. But there are no specific amount of hours that are required. But be careful. If you are not currently working in healthcare as a CNA, you may not be able to renew. But there is a way. Follow me to see Jim's story. This is Jim. Jim became certified as a CNA in 2016. Jim planned on going to work in the local hospital after he became certified. But Jim's uncle needed help at his bank and hired Jim. Jim likes his new job at the bank and he's doing very well there. He doesn't want to leave the bank, but he wants to keep his CNA certification active. He worked hard to get it. One of Jim's bank customers, a supervisor at the local home health agency, mentioned that they were looking for weekend CNAs to care for some of their new clients. Jim immediately filled out an application. He was hired and now works only one Saturday a month. Jim kept his regular job at the bank, but still met the requirements for renewal. Jim will keep one of his pay stubs for proof of the work requirement. Now let's look at the second requirement, in-services. In Florida, continuing education courses for CNAs are called in-services. You must complete a certain amount of continuing education every renewal period in order to renew your certification. You must complete continuing education in-services in certain topics every renewal period. These will include bloodborne pathogens and infection control, domestic violence, medical record documentation, resident rights, communication with cognitively impaired individuals, CPR skills, and medical error prevention and safety. So remember your expiration date on your certification. You need to compute how many months you will have that certification to determine how many hours you need. You will need 1 hour of in-service for every month that you are certified. First, locate the date that your certification was issued. Then locate your expiration date. Count the number of months that you will have your certification in this certification period. So if this certification issue date was January 1st, 2017, and the expiration date is May 31st, 2018, there are 17 months of certification. This certification will be valid for 17 months before renewal. So this certification will require 17 hours of in-services for renewal. Once you have done your required topics, the remainder of the hours can be in a topic you choose. Choose topics that relate to your work environment or an environment that you want to work in. The topics you choose are entirely up to you, and the choices are endless. In-services can even help you if you want to change jobs. How? I'm glad you asked. Let's say that you currently work in a dementia unit. But then your friend tells you about a job opening at a local hospital. You've never worked in a mother-baby unit, but you really want this job. You can complete in-service topics related to this new opportunity to show motivation. This shows that although you lack experience, you are willing to learn. Supervisors like that. Now that you know how many in-service hours you need for renewal and what the required topics are, you need to find out how to get them. Most workplaces require an orientation session for new employees. Some employers will give you in-service credit for completing these modules during orientation. In-services can be awarded for watching videos, classroom instruction, formal group discussions, or even self-study at home. This is a great interview question. Do you offer in-service training hours? In-services can also be awarded for topics discussed in monthly workplace meetings. Sometimes hospitals and other community agencies will host continuing education opportunities. These are often advertised online or in community newspapers or bulletins. But for many CNAs, the easiest way to get your required in-services is online. There are many online in-service providers. Each is structured a bit differently, but most have some sort of free trial. Simply search for CNA In-Services Florida in your favorite search engine. If you are unsure if the provider you want to use is recognized by the Board of Nursing as an approved provider, you can check them out on CE Broker. Go to cebroker.com. Under course search, select your state and your profession, and then click the Begin Search bar. Now click the Providers tab to access a list of approved providers. You can also search for courses right on this website. So far, we've learned how to work at least once as a CNA for pay this renewal cycle, and we've learned how to complete the required number of in-service hours. So all that's left is to renew and pay the fee. The bottom of your certification card contains the information you will need to renew. Your specific renewal instructions are printed here. Once you access the website listed on your certification card, flhealthsource.gov, click on Renew a License. After logging in, follow the prompts, check off the requirements, and pay the fee. Renewal can take less than 15 minutes to complete as long as all of your requirements are met. You will sign in with your username and password on your certification card. You do not have to send anything to the Board of Nursing to prove that you've met the requirements. You only need to send proof, which would consist of a pay stub and in-service certificates, if the Board of Nursing requests them from you. You must keep your proof for at least 4 years after renewal. Never, ever lie on your renewal. The Board of Nursing does periodic audits. The penalties for lying on your renewal are severe. Make sure you've met all the requirements before completing your renewal. You now have all the knowledge you need to renew your CNA certification in Florida. Remember to look at your new certification card for your next expiration date. Until then, happy caregiving.
Right, any questions on renewal? Yeah.
I go on the donut.
So
It's a
just
small
making
ship, baby.
sure
I was
you
right there
accept
on
the
decade. I just, there was.
What that's about? Okay. Questions on renewal? Make sure that you work at least once as a CNA for pay and keep a pay stub to prove it. You don't have to send it in with your renewal, but you do have to meet that requirement in order to be eligible to renew. If you check the box that you did it and they audit you and you can't provide proof, that can automatically disqualify you from being able to retest because that's an ethics problem. Okay. Let me go ahead and pass these out. They should look somewhat familiar to you. These are a total review of all of the principles that we have learned in the program. So this is for your purposes. It's just for study. I'm not going to collect it. This is strictly for you. But if you're able to go through this review sheet and answer everything that you see there, you are more than ready for testing. Okay. So it's just a really good overall review of the principles that we've learned in the program. And remember, principles guide our performance. Ultimately, how do we know what to do with each patient? The care plan. Remember, for the test, you have to follow the care plan. Okay, good. Any questions? Let's go out front and take a class photo really quickly. And then I'm going to collect your books. And then I'll go ahead and give out the graduation folders. And then after that, that way, anybody that needs to leave can. After that, we're going to talk about employability, finding a job in healthcare, best practices, that type of thing. So I encourage you to stay if you can, because that's important information you're going to need. But let's go ahead and take our class photo. Let's go on out front. I know it's a little bit chilly, but. Yeah, I know. So tall people on the yellow line, shorter people on the pavement. I'll get this done as quickly as possible. Yeah. So that's good. Everybody take one step to your left. There you go. All right. And on the count of 3, smile and be professional, be happy. You graduated. Yay. Employers do look at this, by the way. All right, now celebrate. Yay. Yeah, that's it. That's your celebration. All right, let's go on inside. I will post that on Facebook in just a moment. I know it's chilly out here. Okay, and then finally, what I'm passing out now is today's review sheet. And I give you a review sheet at the end of every class that just sums up what we covered in class that day. Yes, I have ink now, so remind me once I'm done. I'll print a registration form for you. All right. So let me go through this real quick. So this was the page we were just on. It talked about the renewal requirements. Make sure you pay attention to the notes there, and you can always rewatch the video. And then the next page. The next page on page 123 is the Board of Nursing contact information. This is going to be important to you if you ever decide to move out of state. You need to contact the Board of Nursing of the state you're going to be moving to and say, hey, I'm a Florida CNA. I want to be a New York CNA. How do I go about doing that? There's a lot of states that offer reciprocity, which means that they will grant you a certification in their state based on the fact that you've got one here. That's awesome. You have to go through their background screening, and you'll have to pay a fee. Of course, everything comes with a fee. But a lot of states will actually grant you a certification in their state just simply based on the fact that you've got one somewhere else. Other states are not that accommodating. There are some states that require you go through their training or testing or both. You need to know that before you move. So I would suggest starting this process about 4 to 6 weeks before you actually make the move if you're planning on working right away, because the process does take some time. I know that Florida offers reciprocity. I don't know if they offer reciprocity to all other states, though. So if you're coming from Virginia, if you're coming from New York, if you're coming from California, I know that they do offer reciprocity, but I'm not sure if they offer it for every single state. There's a lot of technicalities there, so I'm not entirely sure. Okay. So any questions on this, on how to contact the Board of Nursing? I've given you all of their contact information. So page 123 has the name of the registry, you know, who's controlling the registry, their address, their phone number, and fax if one is available. If you go onto my website, I have this on my website as well, but they're all linkable. So if you click on the link, it'll take you directly to the CNA registry for that state. So I've done all of the work for you. Of course, paper, you can't link. So you have to do it the old fashioned way. We're going to come back here in just a second, finding a job in healthcare. This is where we're going to pick back up, but let me go ahead and give you your folders and go through this. When you come up, when I call your name, please come up. When you come up, please bring your textbook with you, yellow or blue or whatever color. Bring your textbook with you. I know that some of you already turned them in. All right, so Sue, come on down. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. Crystal. Crystal's not here. Cynthia. Cindy. Yep. You okay? Congratulations. Hold up before you open it because I got to go over everything in it. So stay with me just a second. Yvonne. Thank you very much. There you go. And congratulations. Kari. Thank you. Congratulations. Leah. Thank you. Congratulations. Stephen.
I could have said that, yeah, kept that right, so.
Thank you. Congratulations. There you go. Amber. Thank you. Congratulations. There you go. All right. Congratulations to all. Go ahead and open your folders. On the left-hand side, you're going to see a pretty piece of paper that's suitable for framing, but means absolutely nothing. It just says that it's just a piece of paper, guys. It doesn't prove anything. Remember that this is a test prep program. I'm getting you ready for the test. We did not go do clinicals. So if a state that you're moving to requires that 120-hour program with clinicals, this does not meet those needs. So remember that this is strictly for your wall. It doesn't mean anything, but I like to at least acknowledge that you were here. Employers do pay attention to this, though. In our local community, we are well known. Everybody knows us. And this shows that you came from here. So it does help. Now, on the left side, that's the important part. There's two pieces of paper there. The first says good luck, and we mean that. We want you to succeed. So on that page is my name, email address, phone number, all of my contact information. You can use me as a professional reference. That's the one that's really hard to come by, right? Personal references are easy to get, friends, family. Professional ones are a little harder. So I do give you professional references, and that's where all of this comes in. Okay. The second page is probably more important. Just because you're leaving us doesn't mean we're leaving you. You still have this room available to you to come in and practice on Mondays and Wednesdays from 1:30 until 4 for the next month. So you can come in and practice, but you do need to be in uniform. You need to have your ID badge on so we know that you're ours. Please don't come back 9 months from now and say, hey, I didn't go take my test. I want to practice. I'm not going to let you in. And it's not because I'm being mean. It's because I'm protecting my current students. If you are 9 months out, you do not remember everything that I said. So when you come in here to practice, you're going to be asking the other students in here a million questions, and that is not fair to them. So I allow you to come in and practice within a reasonable time frame, but please don't put me in that position of having to tell you no 9 months from now. Go take the test. You're more than ready. I know you may not feel it, but you are more than ready. If you can't come in here and practice, you should buy a practice kit. The practice kit has everything you need to practice at home. And today is the last day of that kit being $45.99. If you go on my website, it's $64.99. So I'm giving you a significant savings by being a student. So if you can't come in and practice, you need a practice kit. That way you get familiar with the gait belt and the denture brush and the drainage bag and the graduate container and all the other things that we've used in here. And here you can use them for free. All you got to do is come in. But if you're going to be practicing at home, make sure that you get the practice kit so you can familiarize yourself with all of the supplies you'll see during the test. Good. We also have the practice test in your skills book on page 142 that we talked about last class. And there's a practice test on my website as well for your CNA.com that has different questions that will get you ready for the written part of the test. You have the eBook. If you've not downloaded the eBook, go get the eBook. It's free. And you all have access to that online course. That online course is completely interactive. It's not what you normally think of when you think of an online course. It's interactive. It puts you in the driver's seat. You actually have to choose the right supplies. You have to put the steps in order. There's a million questions in there. It's extremely interactive and a lot of fun. It's bright and colorful, easy to navigate. If you have not accepted your invitation, please do so, because that is going to be your main area of study between now and the state exam. The students that go through my class and do that online program, when you do all of that, those students don't just pass the test, they get perfect scores. It will prepare you that well for the state exam. So I encourage you to do that. So just because you're graduating doesn't mean that you're, completely done, that we don't have more for you. Remember that we have all kinds of stuff for you. So that resources page is there to remind you of all of the things that you still have access to, so that you don't feel overwhelmed after graduation and lose confidence. I want you to go test. Sound good? Questions? Questions?
I know in the nursing home, they would want you to know how to use a Hoyer lift, right? And so is there any way I can learn that here?
Okay, so when it comes to lifts, I know that your book talked about lifts, and lifts always take 2 people to use. But when you go to work, wherever it is that you go to work, you have to be trained on their specific lifts. So teaching you how to use a lift in here really isn't going to be effective, because you have to be trained on their lifts, because they all work a little bit different. But the biggest thing to remember about lifts is they need 2 people, 1 person to pay attention to the controls. But if your focus is on the controls, Right, exactly. Somebody needs to be watching the patient because chains can break, belts can fray, patients can get all twisted up. And it's really, really important that somebody's full attention is on the patient to help prevent falls and injuries. And that's what you really need to know about lifts, is that it's not just an administrative requirement. You have to have two people to use a lift. It's important for the patient that we have two people, one for the machine and one for the patient. Make sense? But no, I do not have a lift here. And it wouldn't do me any good if I did, because it's not going to meet the needs of your facility. You have to be trained on each lift you're going to use at the facility.
Yeah, because when I went to one of the like for example, facility or nursing home, it was like they expected me to already know, and I'm like, I'm not even a CNA yet.
Yeah, and no, they have to provide training. That is not, that's that's a law. They have to provide training on each machine you're supposed to run. Okay, that's not even a wish or a want. That's actually a standard they have to meet. So them expecting you to know how to use the lift, that sounds like a staffing problem. The staff isn't aware of the laws. Okay. So make sure that you all know that you have to be trained on each machine you're going to use, because they all work different. And we want to keep our patients safe. Okay, good. All right. So that that concludes the graduation part. Now I'm going to move on to employment. So anybody that needs to leave is more than welcome to do so. You may want to catch the replay for this. But I want to kind of talk a little bit about finding a job in healthcare, because it is a little bit different. So if you go onto my main website for your CNA, after certification, you're going to see local employers. You want to click on that link and it's going to bring up this page. Now, this is specific to Hernando County, Florida. That's it. I didn't add in, Vermont, New York, or anywhere else. This is just our county. And you're going to see there's a lot listed here. If you click on the name of the facility, it'll take you to their website, actually their job page on there, not just their website, but specifically their job page on their website. And if you find a broken link, let me know, because employers change stuff on their website all the time. Sometimes these links break and I don't always catch them right away. So if you catch a broken link, just send me an email. Let me know. You've got my email address, and that way I can research it and fix it. But it's pretty up to date. The best place to find a job, guys, is on the employer's website. I know that we're all familiar with those online jobs, search engine things, right? So I actually have a position that I was advertising for yesterday. And I went on to some of those job boards and went to post a job. And I knew they cost money, but I didn't realize how much money it costs to post a job. So think about CNAs for a second. Okay. Think about this for a second. There are always CNA openings. And if an employer has to pay $10 to $15 per application received, that's what it costs, between $10 and $15 for every application received. And not all of those people are going to be eligible for employment. So you can see pretty quickly that this can get extremely expensive for employers. So you're not always going to see positions advertised on those job boards because it costs a lot of money. And if I've always got a CNA position open because I'm never fully staffed, that means I'm just handing out money right and left to all of these jobs boards for no real return. So the best place to find an open position is directly on their website. That doesn't cost them any money. So if you want to work for the hospital down the street, go onto their website and see what they're hiring for. If you have a nursing home right around the corner for you, and that's convenient for you, and you want to start there, go onto their website. But there's another job search strategy that a lot of people don't realize. All of these are on their website. Yes, they are. But all of these also maintain a social media presence. So there is a Facebook page for our local hospitals. There is a Facebook page for the nursing homes and assisted living facilities. And it's amazing, if you go onto their Facebook pages, you'll actually see, hey, we're hiring CNAs. And you can start a conversation right there. And it's a really, really good way to look for openings in the field that you're looking to get into. Now, one other thing that a lot of people don't realize is that employers use their current employees to find new ones, and they offer referral bonuses. Everybody here knows somebody that works in healthcare. It may be a family member, it might be a neighbor's daughter, it may be a friend's parent. You know someone that works in healthcare. So if you call them up and say, hey, I know you work in healthcare, is your organization hiring? They're probably going to say, oh, yes, and let them know I sent you, because if they hire you, I'm going to get a bonus, and so are you. That's a win-win situation. When you become an employee, in most places, they will pay you for bringing in other employees because we are so short-staffed. So networking becomes a very, very valuable tool in finding a job in healthcare. What you don't want to do is go on to your favorite social media and just post, hey, I'm looking for a job, because the employers do not have access to your social media. They don't even know you exist. So posting on your own page, hey, I'm looking for a job, is not going to get you anywhere. You need to go to who's hiring. Good? Questions? All right. So let's say that we find a job that we're interested in. We fill out an application. And we sit back and we wait. And we wait. And we wait. Now, years ago, it used to be you could actually wander in so they could see you, shake their hand. Hi, I'd like you to be able to put a face to a name, right? We used to be able to do that. You can't do that now because most of the people that do the hiring aren't even at the facility. Most places are using an off-site human resources company to do all the hiring. So there's nowhere for you to wander into to get noticed. And this becomes a problem, especially if you're trying to get hired at a hospital. If you're looking to get into a hospital, and by the way, I don't recommend that you go to a hospital immediately unless your skills are top notch. And the reason is hospitals are very fast-paced environments. And if you don't have the skill set, you will feel like you're floundering, and people are going to get frustrated with you because you're not going to be able to keep up. This is not really the place to dip your toes in the water. You need to get some skill behind you before you get into the hospital. I've seen this happen a lot. That's the only place people want to work. I want to work at the hospital. I want to go to the hospital. And they get in and they just get overwhelmed. And then they leave healthcare completely because they think, okay, I'm not cut out for healthcare. No, you weren't cut out for healthcare in a hospital yet. Don't leave healthcare. Does that make sense? One of the things that I do recommend is that you take that workplace personality quiz. You can find a link to it right here. Take that quiz. It will help you identify where your best opportunities are based on your personality. It does work. But if you are applying for the hospital, if that's the route you want to go, be persistent. You may have to apply 2, 3, 4 times. Don't do them all at the same day. Apply, wait a week, week and a half, apply again. Wait a little longer, apply again. Repetition does seem to help getting noticed for hospital job openings. You also need to make sure that your application matches the job description exactly. This gets a little bit confusing for students because the job description may say BLS required. And you may have a CPR with AED card. Well, that is BLS, but if it doesn't say BLS on it, you are going to put on your application, I have a CPR with AED card. And the people in human resources look at the requirement, BLS required. They see CPR with AED. They don't know it's the same thing. So they toss your application. If the job description says BLS, your application needs to say BLS. Make sure that the application matches the job description to be able to get noticed. Okay. If the hospital has 3 different CNA positions open on 3 different floors, apply to all 3. They don't share applications. If you apply to 2 North, 3 South doesn't even know you exist. They don't share your application. If you're applying to 2 North, that's the only place that's going to see your application, 2 North. So if there's several opportunities, apply for all of them. One of the opportunities that you guys are all eligible for right now is a patient safety attendant. This is also known as a sitter position. This is a one-on-one. So if I have a patient that is a fall risk, and I know I can't use side rails because side rails are a restraint, I can't use side rails to keep this patient safe in bed. So I'm going to have a one-on-one patient safety attendant sitting by the bed. That way, if the patient tries to get up, we can intervene and try to keep that patient safe, figure out what they need, take care of whatever it is that they need done, notify a staff member, whatever we need to do. But this is a great way, guys, to get into the hospital setting while you're waiting to test. And then once you get certified, you just tell your unit manager, hey, did you know I got my certification? And it's a good way to transition into that CNA role very easily, very quickly, because they can hire from within quicker than they can hire from outside.
So that would be on their website?
Yes, it'll be listed on the hospital's website as a patient safety attendant or a sitter. Each facility is going to have a slightly different title for it.
So would I call it? If it's termed differently,
Bye-bye. Good luck.
if it's written differently, then they pass it.
Look at the job description. It should be pretty clear, but look at the job descriptions. As long as it doesn't have a certification required, then you would be eligible for it. Another opportunity in the hospitals to get your feet in the door is transporter. That's another good opportunity to get into a hospital setting if that's where you ultimately want to be. And transporters transfer patients from beds to wheelchairs and take them to radiology or wherever they need, wherever they need to go. They take people from the ER up to the room, they're transporters. They move patients. It's what they do. But it's if you see an opportunity for that, that's a good way of getting in as well. Good. So I've done all the work for you. All you got to do is go out there and find the jobs, apply, be persistent. But once you apply, the whole goal is to get an interview, right? That's our goal. So let's talk about interview tips. This is on page 126 of your textbook. Or I'm sorry, your white book. Most of you have held jobs before, so you kind of know what an interview is all about. I mean, it is what it is. I'm actually interviewing somebody today at 1:30. But I don't like to call them interviews. I call them conversations. That's really what it is. If I'm going to hire somebody, I've got to make sure that they are aligned with my values, that they're able to perform the tasks I need them to, that they have the personality that I'm looking for, and they have a willingness to learn. That's what I'm looking for. Now, the first thing I'm going to ask this individual is, tell me a little bit about yourself. And everybody stumbles on this. You know it's coming. It's an open book test, and you're the book. But it's funny how people just really freeze up when somebody says, tell me a little bit about yourself. We don't want to know that, well, I grew up in Virginia, mom and dad divorced when I was 10, and I moved in with my grandma. That's not relevant. What they want to know is, what education do you have? What skills do you have? What personality traits do you have that would be relevant to me and this position? Why should I consider you? And you've got to be able to sell yourself. Now, this is hard when you're first starting in healthcare because you're thinking in the back of your mind, well, I don't have any skills to offer. I'm brand new, but you do. And I'm going to help you with this. So very, very briefly, I'm going to go around the room and give you your specific, tell me a little bit about yourself speech. So Sue, can you tell me a little bit about what your background is? What kind of jobs have you had? Okay. Okay. So if someone were to ask you, tell me a little bit about yourself, your answer would be something like this. Well, I'm coming out of an administrative background where I worked mainly in office type settings, but I'm very organized, detail oriented. I understand the importance of following processes and policies and procedures. I can multitask, and I'm a very fast learner with a pleasant personality. And I really believe that I would be an asset to your company because I have a heart to put the patient first. I just completed a CNA program, and I'm super excited about starting the next part of my career in direct patient care. Okay, so that would be an exceptional, tell me a little bit about yourself. Now, it's being taped, so you can go back and watch it. Stephen, what kind of background do you have?
So I just got out of sales. I was in sales for 3.5 years.
Okay.
I have my bachelor's degree in business, so I'm very disciplined. I understand the importance of getting things in on time.
Okay.
I was also a server for, let's say, 3 years.
Okay.
So I was in a nursing home, so I'm used to working with, I guess, older people and seeing how they act, their personalities, what they need. I also started working actual jobs around the nursing facility, like cleaning, taking care of just extracurricular things
Okay.
with patients, even though I wasn't certified.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm used to, used to being in that environment and selling it. So
Okay.
I am now wanting to get into the medical profession to further my skills.
Okay.
I'm in school right now, so I'm determined, and I'm very excited to get started. I feel like I'll be an asset to your crew.
Very good. And what you just said is very, very good. And I would focus on all of those things. As a server, you have prioritization and time management skills that you probably don't even realize you've got, because you have to be able to time when things come out. You've got to watch for nonverbal cues, like they need a new drink, without them having to notify you. So you've got some great observation skills as well. Direct sales. Sales is difficult because you've got to learn how to read people. So you've got some excellent nonverbal communication skills in there as well. These are all things that you want to take out, dust off, shine up, and present to the employer. So you did a great job on that. Good job. I would practice it a little bit more.
Well, yeah,
Yeah, I know. I put you on the spot. Yeah, I would practice a little bit more, but you did a very, very good job. So what is your background? What have you done in life? Okay.
I don't know what to say, because I haven't worked in about 18 years.
That's fine. It really isn't a detriment the way people think it's going to be. It's not. So yeah, I know, I can imagine. So where I would go if I were you and somebody asked me, tell me a little bit about yourself, I would start out by saying, I've always had a heart for healthcare. In my early years, I was a CNA and a home health aide, and I loved that. But I did take time away from a career to raise my family because I really felt very strongly that that was my calling, that, nurturing the family. And I was able to put my nurturing spirit to good use there. But now I'm in a position that I'm ready to re-enter the workforce. And I remember fondly my time in patient care. So I took a CNA class, and I'm looking to transfer those nurturing skills into a patient care setting. And I'm super excited to get started. Okay. So something like that. And there's nothing wrong with being a stay-at-home mom and re-entering the workforce. That's not going to count against you. What will count against you is if you've had 33 jobs in the past 6 years and all of them were only a month long. So that tells us there's a pattern there, but a commitment to family is not considered a detriment. Okay. Just tell me some places you work.
All right, so my family is mostly in the healthcare field, so it grew on me, and so I
Okay.
decided to become a home health aide, and I've been doing it for a while, and then had to stop for a moment because I had to be a stay-home mom.
Okay.
And then decided to go back into it again, and then I decided, hey, let me go back to school to become a CNA. And
So again, I would really lean heavily on if I were you and somebody asked me, tell me a little bit about yourself. I would start out by saying, coming from a family of healthcare providers, I caught the spark for patient care. I have the heart for it. And I've been a home health aide, so I am very comfortable with patient care and personal care, but I wanted to advance my skill set and open up some new opportunities that certification would allow me to explore. So I took a CNA class, I got certified, and I'm excited about starting this next segment of my healthcare journey as a CNA. And I believe that my compassion and my punctuality and my focus on the patient would be an asset to your company.
now I'm like a nervous wreck at times, and I get like I don't know how I somehow get the job, when I get hired, but like I'm like a nervous wreck, and sometimes things just come out the window, so that's what I need to work on.
Yeah, and unfortunately, there's no real strategies I can give you for that other than to focus on the patient rather than you.
Right, of course.
If
They
you can,
always first.
yeah, if
Like,
you can kind of switch your brain, because a lot of times when we focus on something outside of ourselves, it can calm our nerves because now it's focused here, not here. So just try to remember when you get all nervous that this isn't about me, it's about the patient. And that should help a little. Okay. What about you?
I was an office manager for Johnson. I did have preparation and bookkeeping, so I love that environment. I also owned a cleaning business, and when I would leave a cleaning business, I would go straight to that caregiving position. My mom, she had COVID, so I would assist her with 2 different things.
Okay.
I became serious about being actually in the healthcare field. I was spending 2 months in the hospital with the triplets, and I was there day in, day out. I was like living there, so I got to see the roles, the nurse, being a nurse myself, to the point where they asked me if I was actually a nurse, communicating with the doctors back and forth. So I came to take a CNA class to begin my journey with becoming a doctor.
Very good. And what you said would be perfect. You know, the way that you explained that would be absolutely perfect. I would maybe working in an accounting office, you develop some very useful skills, attention to detail being one of them. And that's something that's called a soft skill. And it's not something that we really think about when it comes to skills. Prioritization, organization, time management, attention to detail, understanding the importance of following policies and procedures. Those are all soft skills, but they are tremendously important in any employment setting, but specifically a clinical employment setting. So when you have those skills, those are things that you want to take out and trot around the ring. And so I would definitely make sure that I used those words. You know, I worked in an accounting office, we're a manager. So I've had some management experience, and that taught me time management, organization, prioritization. I'm also comfortable in a patient care environment as well. So I would just make sure that you cover all of those and definitely talk about your time in a clinical setting with your triplets as well. Because that's very real world experience, and being a patient or an immediate caregiver of a patient gives you a sense of empathy that you can't develop in any other way.
Yeah, it's to the point where there was like another baby across the hallway, so I found myself wanting to help that baby too.
Right. It does. It sparks that empathy, and that is actually a good trait to have in an interview, because then they know you're not just there for the patient. Cynthia.
I have spent the last 12 years in the healthcare industry. I've worked the first 10 in an ALS and then I worked the last 2.5 in home care.
Okay.
I'm now CNA certified and looking to progress my skills.
Okay, advance your skill set. So, and I would definitely talk about all of that. I would, if I were you, because you've got extensive experience, I would bring out examples of, how do I put this? Challenges that you faced, right? Specifically, and skills that you bring to combat those challenges. So working in a dementia unit, I understand the importance of nonverbal communication, slowing down, making sure that I'm communicating in a level that my patient can understand, reading those nonverbal cues, watching for safety because of the lack of safety awareness in the patient population. Those are things that I would certainly focus on. So you want to have some specifics because you've got some specific experience. You can certainly mention that as well. And it depends on where you go to work as to whether that will be relevant or not. Yeah. But I would tailor that to the audience that you're interviewing with. If you're in the hospital, the med tech isn't going to check any boxes. And in fact, if you're interviewing at a hospital, I probably wouldn't say anything about the med tech because then they may be concerned that you might be tempted to step outside of your scope. If you're going to be working in assisted living, or nursing home, I would mention the med tech experience because you're in a little bit more of a less supervised position. So med tech tells them that you have good observation and reporting skills. Okay. So I would tailor that part of it based on your audience. And Yvonne?
Okay. I would begin by saying, I'm Jamaican. I came up here in June last year. In Jamaica, I took care of the elderly from about 20 years.
Okay.
Of experience I have with the elderly. But in America, it's on a different scale. In Jamaica, I would use my instinct to take care of them. I wasn't trained or anything like that, but I use my instinct. I would know when they are hungry. I would know when they are not feeling well. I would know when they are about to die. A lot of things I learned from just being around them.
Mhm.
I am a whole people person. I love to be around the elderly.
Okay.
And I spent a lot of time with them. So I know their ins and outs and how they are feeling and what they are trying to say to you. All those stuff I know to see them and everything. But this experience in America will be different because you will have to go to class, to train and everything. So I'm willing to take the training here and become a better caregiver.
Okay. And that's all very good. I actually, with you, would remove some of the detail. So I'm a recent immigrant from Jamaica where I had a lot of direct care experience, but it was an untrained capacity. So I had to rely on my intuition. Here in America, it's more regulated. And in order to be effective at caregiving, I became a CNA. And I'm now looking to use all of the skills that I've gathered throughout my career to provide exceptional patient care. And I have a big heart, and I'm very interested in sharing that heart with the elderly. Okay. So something along those lines, a little bit less specific for you. So does that help you guys? Does that help? You need to have an answer to that question. It's coming. You know it's coming. And I know that all of you just clenched up. Oh my gosh, right? This is your opportunity. This is your only opportunity to sell yourself. Because once you walk out that door, you're just a piece of paper that was left behind. That's it. There's nothing to set you apart from the other piece of papers that were left behind. So you want to make a good impression. You want to convince them that you're the right person for this job, that the life of that patient over there depends on your skill level. And you have the skills to provide the care. And that's what you want to get across to them. You have to be able to sell yourself. If you don't, somebody else will. And that somebody else may not be the best person to take care of that patient. You are. So you've got to have that confidence going into it. Let them know. I'm a good pick for this because I care. I want the best for my patients. I'm looking to advance, or I'm looking for this or that, but you definitely want to bring it right back to that patient. But remember, the minute you walk out that door, you're just a piece of paper. So take the opportunity that you have. Now, along those lines, there's something you can do. When you go for the interview, you do want to arrive early. I'm going to tell you, this is a very unpopular opinion. Not every place is your place. There are some facilities that I walked in and went, nope, and walked right back out. If the front office staff is rude to me, I don't want to work there. It's that simple. If I'm going to have to give this place 8 to 12 hours of my time every day, I don't want to be miserable while I'm doing it. So if this isn't the place for me, it's not the place for me. I am there to interview them as much as they're there to interview me. So I'm going to arrive a few minutes early so I can get the lay of the land. I'm going to smell. What does the place smell like? What does the place look like? Is there a lot of trash on the floor? Is there equipment that's all, hanging from the ceilings and broken down. How long are those call lights going off that nobody's addressing? These are all things that you need to pay attention to because they will impact your job satisfaction. And trust me, as much as you don't want it to, if you are in a job that you absolutely hate, it will come out in the way you treat your residents. It's nonverbal. It's unconscious. So you want to pick your places well. Arrive early. Be polite. Oh, be polite. When you greet that front office person and tell them that you're there for an interview, be polite. Do not ever look down on them or be rude or condescending. Be polite, because I guarantee you, whoever interviews you is going to come back to that front office person, that receptionist, and say, how were they while they were waiting? You don't want to be on your phone. This is not the time to surf social media. Your phone, where should your phone be during an interview? Yeah, Mars is best, but second best place is in your car. It should not even be on you, because you will unconsciously take that phone out and look at it, check the time or whatever. Don't do that. That phone is best in your car. When you greet somebody, you need a firm handshake. Look them in the eye, stand up straight. Never shake somebody's hand sitting down. You guys know that rule? If you're going to shake somebody's hand, you need to be standing up at eye level. Never shake somebody's hand sitting down. That's an integrity issue. So stand up, shake their hand, look them in the eye, keep your shoulders back and head up. You have a lot to be proud of. When you're answering questions, answer them completely. Never talk over somebody that's asking you a question. Hold your tongue till they're done. Answer it completely, but don't get long-winded. Answer the question, but don't tell them everything. Okay. Make sure that you are odor neutral. So you don't want heavy perfumes or anything like that, but you do want to smell clean, odor neutral. Scrubs is appropriate for interviews. There's an old saying, dress for the job you intend to get. What do scrubs, or what do CNAs wear? Scrubs. We want to see you in that position. If you go in a nice dress, heels, hair, makeup, dangly earrings, I mean, you look great as a receptionist, but I'm going to have a hard time picturing you in that CNA role. I always recommend that you go looking like you're ready to work. But there's a big but here. Your scrubs need to be neat, clean, pressed. If you don't know your way around an iron, take them to the dry cleaner. They do. But you should have, don't just pull them out of the dryer, shake them out and put them on like we do for class, right? We want to give a little bit better impression. If you have visible tattoos, you want to have them covered with a jacket or an undershirt until you find out their tattoo policy. Same thing with a lot of earrings. If you have a lot of earrings that are dangly, I would go to studs until you find out what their jewelry policy is. I would be leery about wearing bracelets. Rings are fine, but bracelets probably are not. Makeup should be natural. Hair should be out of your face. Shoes should be clean. What's that? Well, nails, nails are something interesting, because it used to be that, artificial nails were not permitted anywhere. Now they've really relaxed that, and a lot of places will allow artificial nails. So you'd want to find out what their policy is, but you're right, you don't want them long. And a couple of years ago, they had this pointy fad where, the nails were like really point, like stabby nails. You don't want those. You want a nice flat edge on them, because the whole purpose here is not to injure the patients. Be nice. It really is that simple. Be nice. Put your best foot forward. You do want to take a notebook with you, though. And this is something that most people don't realize. Go get some index cards, a small notebook that can fit in your pocket, something like that. take a notebook with you, because if they do offer you the job, they're going to give you some information pretty quickly, and you're going to forget it when you walk out that door. I might say something like, Stephen, I'd like to offer you the job. And if you're interested, you can start on Monday, orientate, because we have an orientation on Monday. Orientation is in the second floor, ballroom B, and you're going to be meeting with Susie. You can wear scrubs, that's fine. Orientation starts at 8. You're going to be there on Monday and Tuesday, but on Wednesday, you're going to be shadowing Victoria. She's going to show you around, and you'll be working on 3 North. You're not going to remember anything beyond, I'd like to offer you the job. So now you're going to be calling up the next day and going, I'm supposed to go to orientation. Where is that? What am I supposed to wear? And the receptionist's like, I don't know. I wasn't in the interview. So you want to have a notebook to write all of this stuff down. Now, along those lines, there's some questions you guys should be asking as well. And when you get to this part in the interview, this just kind of cracks me up. When you're in an interview, guys, you are promising to be somewhere 8 to 10 hours a day or 8 to 12 hours a day. You're promising that, right? You need to know a few things. You want to make sure that they've got your best interests at heart too, right? You're there to have the patient's best interests at heart, but they got to have your back. So there's some questions you should be asking during an interview. When you get to the end of the interview and they ask you, do you have any questions for me? The worst thing you can say there is, no, I'm good. Because that makes you look either uninformed or uninterested. Neither one of those is good. So you need to have some questions. And right now you have no idea what questions to ask because you're not in healthcare. So this page right here, 127, gives you some questions that you can ask during an interview. You should have these with you. Write them in that little notebook. Most of these will be covered during the interview, but some of them won't. And one of these in particular, you do need to know the answer to if you have small children or transportation issues. And that one is, do you mandate your staff to stay over if the next shift relief does not show up? If you've got small children that you have in daycare, and you have to be out at a certain time to go get your children from daycare so DCF doesn't get called, because that's what happens. You don't get your kids. You need to know that. This may not be the position for you. And this is shockingly common. Shockingly common. That if your next shift doesn't show up, you get to stay. You need to know that before. Another question I get asked a lot is it okay to ask for pay? Absolutely. Unless you're willing to work for free. And if you are, I've got a job for you. Right? Unless you're willing to work for free, you need to know what they're going to pay you to compensate for your time away from home. But you want to be careful in the way that you say it. This one is all about approach. You want to find out what they're offering, but it's all about the approach. You don't want to say, so how much you can pay me for this? You would want to say, you don't have the job yet. It's not your money. It's not your pay. So you got to be careful there. You would want to say something like, what is the starting wage for somebody with my level of experience for this position? That gives you a chance to gauge where they're at. Okay. So what is the starting pay for somebody with my level of experience? Because your pay does change based on experience for this position. And not all places are going to pay the same. A lot of it's going to depend on the type of job that you're doing. If it's a very technical job that requires a high level of attention in a fast-paced environment, they're probably going to pay a little more. If they got a whole stack of applications in the back office because everybody wants to work there, they're probably going to pay you a little less. Okay. So your pay is going to vary. It's not standardized. It's not all CNAs start at X amount of dollars. It doesn't work like that. There is shift differential. They will pay you more to work evenings and to work overnights. They will pay you more to work weekends. And if you really want to make bank, there is a program called the Baylor program. Those of you going to school, this is going to be right up your alley. You work one shift during the week, usually on Friday, all day Saturday doubles, and all day Sunday doubles. So it gets you 36 hours, and the Baylor program usually pays you for 40. So they give you 4 extra hours that they're paying you for. But it's guaranteed weekend work. And remember, you're getting those shift differentials, right? You get a weekend, a night, and an overnight. So it's a really good way to make maximum income in minimum time. And this is very useful for people that are going to school. Okay. Good. Yeah. Do you have a Baylor program? They know what it is. Yeah. Not time and a half. But they will give you, usually, not all places, but usually if you're on the Baylor program and you're committing to working every single week, because nobody wants to work weekends. Nobody wants to work, overnights or anything like that. But if you're agreeing to, I will be here every single weekend without fail, they're going to incentivize you for that by, you'll work 36 hours, but they're going to pay you for 40. So the Baylor program is a really good option. I worked my way through nursing school on the Baylor program. It is effective. It is effective. When you go in for the interview, you want to take a packet with you. This packet is super important. Let me go to the next page here. I don't think I have the packet in here then. All right, in your white book, tell you what page this is on. On page 125. In the second column, you do need to take a packet of information with you. Remember, I said the only thing that you're leaving behind when you walk out of that room is a piece of paper. You actually want it to be more than a single piece of paper. You want to make it easy for them to hire you. It's really what it's all about. If you take this packet in, your packet should have a resume. It should have a copy of the certificate that I gave you. It should have a copy of your certification card once you get it, the blue card, your CNA. It should have a copy of your CPR and first aid card, any in-services or continuing education that you've done, any additional certifications that you have. If you have the med tech, put that in there. If you've got a home health aide, put that in there. So basically it needs to be a packet of you, all of your qualifications. And you're going to leave that when you leave the interview. So when you go in for the interview, you shake their hand, eye contact. You're going to hand them the packet. They're going to put it aside. They don't care about that packet right now. They have you in front of them. But when you're gone for the day and they're getting ready to go home, they'll neaten up their desk and they're going to come across that packet and they'll flip through it. And if I've interviewed 5 or 6 people today, now I have an opportunity to remember you. Okay. Remember, you can't get hired if they don't remember you. You want to make it easy to remember you. And if I want to offer a position, let's say that both Sue and Stephen came in, you both interviewed, you both did fine. I could flip a coin and be happy. I have to make a decision here. And Stephen brought me a packet, Sue did not. Now, if I want to hire Sue, I've got to call her up and say, Sue, I'd like to offer you a position, but unfortunately, your hiring isn't complete. We need some information from you. These are the documents that I need. Can you get them to Human Resources? They'll check them out. Once your folder is complete, they'll give it to me and we'll schedule orientation. And we only do orientation every other week. So, it could be a little bit before you start. That's a lot of work. Or I could pick up the phone and say, Stephen, you want to start Monday? Because he brought me a packet that has everything in it. As an employer, which one am I going to do? Absolutely. He made it easy and he could start right away because he's complete. Make it easy for them to hire you. This packet is what does that. You need to invest in the packets. It doesn't have to be fancy. You don't have to go out and buy folders or anything like that. Just go to Staples, make some copies, put them together, but make it easy. If you don't make it easy, you may not get the job because somebody else, I guarantee you, guys, your competition are the people that sat in this class last class. They were all told to make a packet. Somebody is making a packet. That's a person that gets the job. How bad do you want the job? Okay. Good.
Do you recommend the first aid CPR classes?
Yes, I do. You don't need it for my class. You don't need it to test, but you will need it to work in most settings. Now, I will tell you, there are some places that offer CPR and first aid as part of your employment. Like they will actually give that to you, but there's something here that most people don't know and don't realize. If your employer pays for that certification, they own it. You may have gone and sat in the class, but that certification card goes in your employee file, not your wallet. So if you go to apply somewhere else and they say, do you have CPR and first aid? You go, oh yeah, I took that at my job. You may not be able to get that card. When you take the course, you own the card. Never give your original to anybody. Never give your original anything to anybody. Everybody only gets copies. You retain the original. The card, yeah. A lot of AHA is moving to that now. It's a virtual card. Yeah. That's very common now. We live in a digital world, but that's okay. You can still print it out. But be careful about allowing your employer to give you all of these things because it may not be the gift you're expecting. Right? It may meet their needs, but they may not release it so that you can go elsewhere. I always recommend that when it comes to certifications, you get your own. Don't rely on your employer. But yes, there are some employers that will offer CPR and first aid to their employees as part of training. That's a good question to ask during orientation, but me, if I were doing it, I would just go get it. And that way you've got it to be able to apply. Yeah, Julie at CPR Rescue. It's CPR RESQ. You can find her on Facebook. She's been doing it in this area forever. She actually used to teach in my classroom, but she has her own place now over by Golden Corral. 1 day. Oh, well, the certification lasts 2 years. You have to renew it, but it's a 1-day class. Yeah. She usually does CPR in the morning, first aid in the afternoon. You can knock it out in 1 day. I don't know what she's charging now because after COVID, I know everything went, milk went up, everything went up. So I don't know what she's charging. Go to her Facebook page and contact her or her website. Yeah. That would have the most up-to-date information. She doesn't, no, she's not at her, she's only at her office when she's teaching. So you need to register on her website or contact her via Facebook, one or the other. But I definitely recommend that you get your CPR and first aid. Not every place will require it, but it's something that you need. Statistically speaking, you're more likely to have to use CPR in your personal life than you are in your professional life. Yeah, statistically speaking. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Every employer has slightly different requirements. Not all require the PPD or the TB test. Most do, though. If you're going to be doing direct patient care, most do.
When I was in the facility, they would do your TB test there.
Yeah, and that's very common in facilities. They have an employee health nurse that takes care of that.
Any urgent care, and they'll just show you.
Yeah.
24 hours. If you do have it, long story short, you have to go back and stay on those years, you have to check and you don't have any-
Between 24 and 72 hours is when it's red. Yeah. Looks like a really nasty mosquito bite. If you're positive. I mean, a really nasty mosquito bite if you're positive. If it's just a little bit red with no bump, that's okay.
They don't do that anymore. That's patients.
I don't know. I don't know. Unfortunately, TB is making a resurgence. We had it pretty much under control. Yeah, it's making a resurgence. Everything is. All right. So any questions on finding a job? What to do when you go to an interview? Questions you should ask? One other tip that I'm going to pass on to you, and a lot of people think I'm very old fashioned in mentioning this, but it works. And if it works, why not consider it? Anytime I go for an interview, I always write out a thank you note before I go into the interview. I just need leave the name blank. So I go, dear, and leave it blank. Thank you for the opportunity to interview with you today. Please don't hesitate to contact me with any questions. I appreciate your time and look forward to hearing your decision. Sincerely, my name. You can go to the Dollar Tree and get a whole pack of thank you cards for $1.25. You've got no excuse here. Have it ready in your car. Have it addressed. Have a stamp on it. When you get out of the interview, you go to your car and you write in the name of the person that you interviewed with. You go to the post office and you drop it in the box to be mailed out. It will get to them tomorrow. Remember, you can't get hired if you're not remembered. By sending that thank you note and by making it a physical thank you note that you had to take time out to do, that leaves an impression that goes way beyond an email thank you. And if you're willing to put that much effort into getting the job, I think you might actually show up for work. And that's what that's telling them, that you're serious about it. Right. So wherever, let's say you are interviewing at hospital XYZ and you're interviewing on the 3rd floor, whatever, 3 North or, 3 West or whatever. Hospitals are funny. They always have a number and a direction. I don't know why. Somebody along the way said, hey, that looks good. So let's say you're interviewing with Cindy Smith on 3 North. So you would, on the envelope, you're going to put hospital XYZ, 3 North, the address, attention, Cindy Smith. Okay. I'm telling you guys, if you do that, if you take a packet and you send a thank you note, it's almost impossible to not get the job. You're stacking the deck in your favor. I mean, unless you totally blew the interview or somebody else was there, shining. It's almost impossible not to nail it. Okay. It does. It shows a lot of things. And I know it sounds very old fashioned, but I'm telling you, it works. It absolutely works.
Your such and such.
Yeah, please let me know if you have any questions. I look forward to your decision. It's simple. It's very simple. Yeah. You don't have to bribe them. You don't have to put a $50 gift card in there or anything like that. That's not what it is. It's just showing that you appreciate their time and consideration. And it's showing that you understand social niceties, which is always a good thing when they're trying to build a good staff. All right, so any questions on any of that? All good information for finding a job. All right, remember that you do have the practice test available on page 142. This is in your white book. It is available for you to be able to gauge your readiness for the written test. If you miss more than 5 on my test, you probably need to go back and watch those animated lessons, because I guarantee you there's something in there that you've missed. If you miss 5 or less on my test, you're definitely ready for the state exam. Go with certainty. Yeah. Good. Very good. Very good. Yeah, and the students tell me, the ones that test tell me that my tests are harder than the state exam. Yeah. Yeah, my tests are harder than the state exam. No, you are. The only one you're not going to be tested on is blood pressure.
Yeah, that's what I'm sorry.
So pulse you can be tested on, respirations you can be tested on, but not blood pressure. Yeah.
I'm still having trouble holding this stethoscope.
You need one more hand, don't you? Yeah, yeah, I know. Blood pressure would be so much easier if I had just one more hand. But you do, after some time, you do start to develop your own routine and to make it work. Yeah. All right. So any questions on that?
It's similar to that.
No, the ebook is actually different from anything else I've given you. And I don't have physical copies because it takes so much money to print. It's the content in there covers what you're going to be tested on the written test. And we talked about this a little bit on Monday. Know your role, know your normals. Remember, normals go beyond vitals. It's normal disease process, normal aging process, that type of thing. Patient rights, safety, and infection control. Those are the things that you're going to be tested on the state exam. That's what most of those questions are going to revolve around. And if you look at the questions on page, on the practice test, starting on page 142, you'll start to notice, oh, that's a safety question. Oh, that one's on infection control. Oh, that one's on disease process. Oh, this one's definitely patient rights. And you'll start to kind of see the patterns there. But that's it explains what each one means, how to look at the questions. It gives you sample questions, and then actually dissects the questions for you and shows you why this answer is wrong, why this answer is wrong, why this answer is right, and why this answer is a really bad idea. But it helps you learn how to disregard answers that you know aren't right, focus on the ones that you think could be right, and then eliminate one of those. And it's very, very interactive. So it leads you through the steps, and then it gives you a question and has you do it, and then helps you identify whether you did it right or not. Okay, so it's way different than anything else that we've covered in here. And I've only had that ebook up for probably about maybe 4 months. I just wrote it not too long ago. I've already had 1,500 downloads, and the feedback that I've gotten, and people all the time email me, as a reply to that ebook, all the time, this was immensely helpful. So it's definitely something that I would recommend that you take a look at. Now, remember, you had me here. So a lot of that for you is going to be review, but it's good review. Okay. Do you guys feel somewhat comfortable with a little bit of practice? Do you feel like you've learned anything in this class? Okay. The only thing that I would ask of you is if you would leave me a review on Google, on Facebook, on wherever. Just leave me a review. I've had well over 3,000 students, and I think I've only got 70 reviews. So I'm now asking for reviews. If we've been helpful to you, if you found the program easy to navigate, easy to understand, whatever your thoughts are, please leave a review so others that are searching can find us. Okay. So the rest of the class is practice. It's all yours. You can take a break if you want. Those of you who need to leave, I'd like to wish you the best of luck. Please let me know how you do. If you go onto my YouTube channel on any one of my videos and post a fresh comment, let me know that you passed the test. I'll give you a shout out on one of my lives. And that way the whole world can celebrate with you. And if you're uncomfortable with that, then at least send me an email and let me know how you do, because I am invested in each and every one of you and I want you to succeed. If you are unsuccessful, I need you to send me the papers that they give you so I can help you identify your deficiencies. So the next time around, you have better success. Okay. Good. I'm here for you. All right. So you two people, I am going to sign off. Unfortunately, I don't have my comments up, so I have no idea what the comments are today. I apologize, but we're going to sign off. Next class starts on March 27th. So we're going to have a week off and then we'll start again with a brand new group. And you're more than welcome to join us for that. And you guys can always join in on the live stream of the next group if you need a refresher along the way as well. These classes will actually drop off of YouTube once the new ones start. So those are all rolling. So you won't be able to see your class after the new one starts. Okay. I hope this helped you guys. And make sure you guys in the YouTube world tune in tomorrow for our live. I've got some really cool things that I'm going to show you and we're going to talk about. So stay tuned for tomorrow's live. Until next time, happy caregiving. Bye.